Okay, so today we're going to be talking about triangular trade. Now, while triangular trade came in many different forms, the way that we're going to be talking about today was between the British, Americans, and Africans. So triangular trade was a way of indicating trade between three different ports. Of course, major parties involved, at least in this example, were, as I said before, the British, Americans, and Africans. Those three countries were the basis of the transatlantic slave trade, which was a massive atrocity. Next, we'll look into what each of the individual countries exported and imported. So, in England, British exported industrial goods such as firearms, iron goods, and furniture. These goods were sent to Africa and would be traded for slaves. Then, the imports and exports of Africa, trading was generally led by their tribe leaders. So, the African tribe leaders would receive firearms and other manufactured goods in exchange for prisoners who were sent to the Americas to work as slaves. Next, we have what went on in the Americas. So this is a little more complex, but the Americas would receive slaves from Africa who would work in America and grow different agricultural products. So these agricultural products, especially sugarcane, tobacco, and rice, were kind of the basis of colonization in the Americas. British colonies used the slaves as free labor to grow this agriculture and build infrastructure. The sugarcane would be sent off to Britain to be distilled into rum. So those were the imports of Britain, as well as other raw goods. So now the cost of the slave trade. In Europe, the cost of the slave trade, it was really designed to make a profit for the British elite. Only Britain was able to profit because the goods couldn't go to other European powers since trade was running through the Americas. So really, it benefited the British a lot. Next, we have what happened to the Americas. The slave trade provided massive production for British colonies in America in the form of plantation workers. The arrangement didn't really benefit any of the indigenous tribes who'd already been there. Still, it benefited the British colonizers who came over. In Africa, although certain tribes had an initial profit because they acquired weapons and could go and fight other tribes and knock them off, in the end, most of the African tribes ended up without a wealth of its men and ended up really suffering because of it, since they weren't able to do a lot of hard labor and work for themselves. So really, in conclusion, that was triangular trade, or the transatlantic slave trade. Thank you for listening.